Listeners, welcome back to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists, episode number 57.
Good job. You can count.
I think. Well, I should probably have made sure before we started doing all this. This is Andrew, and...
This is Michelle.
Yay!
We did it. Finally. Episode 57. We can say our names in a timely manner.
We need to write a
after our
script for
intro.
all that.
Seriously. God, we're such amateurs.
That's one of our New Year's resolutions. It should be, is to maybe script that opening a little bit better. I just feel like you do such a good job all the time opening that, like, when it's my turn, I'm like, oh.
Don't sugarcoat it so you don't have to do it anymore.
Hey.
Don't, like,
The listeners
praise
have
me
spoken.
thinking that I'm going to be like, oh, well, Andrew, no problem. I'll just do it from here on.
Did you see that poll that I put up?
No.
Oh, you must have been in Nicaragua or something. I might have taken it down already. But all the listeners said that they would rather have you do the opening and transitions. That's what they told me. That's what they told us, but you weren't around.
You did a poll? What, on our Facebook page?
Yeah. It's a real thing that happened, and lots of people chimed in.
And by lots, you mean 17?
No, like 1,000. And they were like ranking everything, and I was like, and it was overwhelmingly you to open up. Yeah, it's a real thing that happened, and you just were gone.
I think they probably prefer the drunk ones.
No, there was.
And I'm like, Chandra,
the poll
welcome
specifically
to it.
was sober Michelle versus Andrew at any other time, is what I said. And I mean,
you're so full of shit right now.
I mean, well, you can't prove it because you were in Nicaragua. So
this is true.
What are you gonna do?
I really thought about taking away your privileges to admin our page while we were gone. While I was gone.
You didn't like what I posted when you were gone?
After I saw you saying our perio debate had been settled, I was like, what the hell is happening in America?
No. It was 2016 was a great year for the settling of the perio debate. I just want to say.
You're so funny when you're saying stupid stuff. Not settled.
So that happened in 2016, and now looking forward to 2017. We can talk about other things now that that's settled.
We can continue to argue about that.
No.
It's a never-ending debate, Andrew. I don't know what you're thinking. Never-ending.
I heard the episode, and I was live when we recorded it. You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is a new episode. It's a new year. We can talk about it at a later date.
Oh, we will. We'll talk about it at many other dates in the
We
future.
can probably talk about it
worry.
at a honky-tonk in Nashville here in a couple weeks.
Because we're going to be at Voices of Dentistry.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
January 26th, 27th. Right?
Yep.
That sounds about right. Let's double check that. I'm pretty sure it's the 26th and 27th. It is a Friday and nope, 27th, 28th. It's a Friday, Saturday.
So Michelle's wrong again. Gosh, that's perio debate. The dates on this.
I'll give you dates. But I won't give you perio.
So,
we're going to be in Nashville. Voices of Dentistry. It's not too late to sign up.
Go sign up.
Get your CEs.
And
we really would love more hygienists to be there. Because I'm pretty sure it's just going to be you and me kicking it with a bunch of dentists.
I think that there's only the two of us. And I think it's going to be an interesting crowd. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
An interesting crowd.
I really hope that I'm just not the only girl.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to be the only girl there. But I think you're the only girl presenter, woman presenter, female.
Lady.
Yeah.
I'm a lady.
Right. Sure you are. So that is coming up. Oh, and guess what? So you remember how the other day we were talking, but not on the podcast, but like in our own personal lives, about ADHA and possibly like getting a house or something like that? You, maybe Daniel, something like that. Like an Airbnb. Because listeners, if you don't already know this, ADHA is in Jacksonville, and the convention center has like 2 hotels that are somewhat close, and everything else is kind of further away. Not like super far away. You can get an Uber, it'd be no problem. But they have like one hotel that's like their host hotel, their main hotel, and even that's not at the convention center because it's like a conference center rather than a convention center and hotel or whatever. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Really?
Yeah. So I posted on Mr. RDH Facebook group, and said, hey, I'm thinking about this. Is anyone else going? And holy crap, did it explode. A lot of people are going to be going. A lot of people want to share the house. And so I think we're going to have to like get a mansion. And another idea that we're thinking is, I don't know if you've seen a picture of Jacksonville, but like the convention center is like right on the water, like up by the river. And so we're thinking about getting a houseboat and seeing how that goes. Just like mooring it right there. And
so I know I said originally that I would be down with this. Wait, are we talking a yacht? I could get down with a yacht.
No, like a real houseboat, like a house that floats on water. But I mean, we could try maybe get a yacht too. I don't know how expensive that would be.
Yeah, I'm thinking pretty damn expensive. Well,
so
I'm down with Airbnb. I'm always down with Airbnb.
Burner. Yeah. But
I have Airbnb for Chicago Midwinter.
I have timeshare for Chicago Midwinter, so we're set there.
And then I got to go to New York in February, and I'm going to do an Airbnb there.
I feel like you went from like Marriott to Airbnb all of a sudden.
Yeah, because it depends on like how many nights I'm staying. So if I'm staying like 4 and 5 nights, like I really don't, my diet does not like to, I don't like to eat out all the time. Like
right.
I just can't find foods that fit the lifestyle that I like. So if I can just like cook my own like things, or I don't know, keep like fruits and stuff like that in the refrigerator, like I like that kind of setup a little bit better.
Sure.
Plus, it's usually a little bit cheaper. So when I'm staying, now granted, my company's paying for a lot of it, but I still try to be, I don't know, just aware of the cost that I'm accruing.
You're a loyal employee. We appreciate that.
I just try to be. And also, if I can get it where it's walking distance, I would rather just do that.
Yeah.
Versus take a Uber everywhere. So, I don't know. And if I mean, some of these hotels are stupid. Like $300 a night. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
For Courtyard Marriott. Like, thank you, but no. So if I could just get like a really and I like to live like a local when I go to these places. Like I've been traveling so much that I would prefer to feel like a part of the city versus being in a hotel. Even though I do miss a gym.
I feel like there's like nationwide gyms you could probably join and find.
I've joined Planet Fitness, so when I'm out in California, I go to Planet Fitness there. But it might not be close though. Like,
That's
can't
true.
guarantee like how far away that might be, and if I don't have a car, it's just not worth it sometimes.
So as you're trashing the hotels, I'm looking around, being like, "Yeah, this kind of sucks." You see the picture behind me. It's very stereotypical.
Is that Mount Rainier in the background?
Mount Rainier.
Yep.
You have the freaking weird bed thing.
Now, what I do like is that some Airbnbs that I have been to, I have not been able to control the temperature. So it's been like online controlling of the temperature, and that sucks.
Yeah.
Because I like to be warm.
Yeah, I like to be warm as well. I'm at 78 right now. That's as high as it'll go. My heater.
You are so strange compared to most guys I know. Like if I touch the dial and it goes below or above 70, they literally throw a temper tantrum.
Well, I'm not paying for this. Like it's part of the cost.
I'm not talking about like payment. I'm talking about like comfort level, your own personal comfort. They just don't want to be hot.
I grew up in Southern California in the middle of the desert. So I feel like, and then I lived in the Philippines for all that time, and we basically just had sheets, and that's all we used for bedding. So
you're just kind of you acclimated to that, and now you haven't switched back to the Northwest Pacific area.
No, it's been rough at times because like even now my feet are freezing. I just took my socks off and stuff, and I'm like, oh.
So currently, is our temperature pretty much close? Like, What is your temperature right now?
It warmed up when I came up to Bellingham. I think it was like 37 when I got up here, but it was in the teens recently.
So it was 22 when I woke up this morning.
That's insane.
22
it's not supposed to be that
degrees.
cold there.
No, it gets like this in the winter. But not for but then in 4 days it'll be 70.
Yeah.
And that's legit the weather right now. Like in 4 days it's going to be 70 degrees. That's so dumb.
That is weird to me. I have a hard time with that.
There's no consistency. Like, don't put up clothing longer than 4 days because it's going to just change. So.
Well, cool.
But yeah, you're traveling. You're on the road. I'm about to leave and go to California. So starts my 2017 travel schedule.
Mine doesn't start till Voices of Dentistry. And I'm very excited about that. So, however, between the Voices of Dentistry and the cruise in April, I think I have like 5 trips, which is a lot for me.
It's a lot when it's not your job.
Right? It's so crazy. Mm-hmm. But I get to see some pretty cool towns, so we'll see how that goes. But
yep.
Okay, let's talk about the episode that's coming up.
It's my Nicaragua trip.
Yay! What are we going to listen to?
It was one of my favorite trips so far. It's just me kind of highlighting the day at the end of the day. I do really enjoy doing the podcast or just recording at the end of the day. So some people on this trip will journal, just kind of write down their feelings, especially if they're new to mission work and just what that feels like and what they're experiencing. And if they've never even been out of the country, I mean, if you can think back to your first time leaving the country and doing something like this and being with the people, how that just felt and you just needed to write that down. And I did that my first few times, and I do still have those somewhere, but I lost the effort after Wednesday. I was writing, it's just so much work.
Yeah.
No. I've never been a diary keeper or journal keeper. So this audio side of it, it's been really nice, I guess, for me, because at the end of the day, I just kind of go and I say what the day was about and I just can talk about it. And this time I was with 2 of my friends, Angel, who's gone with me 2 years ago, and then my friend Susanna, who's one of my very good friends here in Charleston. And she's a flight paramedic. And she's my roommate in this. So it's really... So you hear us interact on the first day because she's laying next to me. And she's like, this is so weird. What are you doing? I was like, I guess not everybody's used to having a microphone in their face. Definitely takes some growing into that feeling or watching somebody just talk on a microphone. But it was fun. It was a really good trip. A really great time. And I don't know why this one was one of my favorites, because there wasn't anything that really stood out that was exceptional, this happened or I made this kind of a change in somebody's life. But it was just all around. We were with a lot of great people, and it was almost all girls. Only 3 boys were on this trip.
But hasn't it kind of come a long way though? Since when you were first starting with this group.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's probably
just for
part
dentistry.
of it. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean in dentistry. I mean sounds like it's
knowing
improved quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. We were just winging it the last few times, and I think being in Uganda with Daniel, and us doing our glass ionomer, silver diamine, fluoride, kind of gave me the practice, so I felt a little bit more confident in Nicaragua. Still don't like it. Restorative, still not my favorite thing in the world. I was like, I could see and appreciate it a little bit more. Just to go, because you know how we always kind of get off on our tangents about, you need to know things. We need to know things.
What?
I know. It's so crazy. It only happens sporadically. Our tangents are few and far between, totally. But you definitely get inside your comfort zone. So if I read articles and they talk about kids, I don't need it. Or if they talk about restorative, I'm still don't need it. So you kind of get used to learning very specific knowledge, if that makes sense at all. And I started to see what I kind of always have seen this, but I really was like, man, I really should just like broaden my horizons just a little bit and maybe start to learn restorative. But the problem is I can't do it in South Carolina. So it's like I could learn about it, but I can't really apply it but once or twice a year. And so I lose my interest in between those times, you know?
And I think that that's probably one of the reasons why I like it so much is because I get to keep doing it over and over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
So it was a good time, though.
Well, good. I'm excited to listen to it. It'll be fun.
Yep. So listeners, enjoy this wrap up of my Nicaragua mission trip in December.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
It's time for the interview.
Oh, but I had something else to say.
We need to let the experts talk now.
Fine.
Hi, my name is Álvaro Ibarra from here in Nicaragua. And we are right now working in El Viejo, Chinandega, which is at the Pacific area of our country. And this medical team had been awesome, since we started Monday. We have seen a lot of people, a lot of patients from, the most remote rural areas here of El Viejo. And they're walking, long distance just to get, a very high medical quality, which One World Health Organization is bringing through all the volunteers that come here and help. And these people is really in a big need of this. This is one of the biggest needs of our country, with this medicine, education, and just by the team being here, this is going to be like a solver. They're going to be solving a lot of problems that the people of this area has, especially the children, since they are the most affected by not only the economy or the way they're living, but all the environment that they live, and by having like also the dental station that we have here is so awesome, because we have seen all the bad things that the kids are having because of their habits, because of the bad things that they have been doing, and things that they have been doing wrong, and it's not their fault. It's just that they're doing what they're looking. The others or the parents. Once we're teaching them, we're training them how to take care of their own teeth and their own healthy. That's a life-changing thing that we're doing here. So just want to say thank you all for coming, and hope you guys can join us on the next trip here with One World Health and to Nicaragua. God bless you all, and have a great day.
Thank you, Alvaro. I also just want to add in there that Alvaro is the best dental assistant ever. He's done all of our sterilization, and he's even helped me place glass ionomer, and that is pretty awesome. So we appreciate you. Angel, come over here and tell the listeners how you're my friend and don't listen to the podcast.
I do listen. Unfortunately, I haven't listened to a couple of them because I kind of listen to my sports podcast, and then I'll start.
It's no big deal. I mean, if I had a friend had a podcast, I'd listen to it, but whatever. Whatever, Angel.
I just don't listen as often as you want me to.
And here's our fearless leader, Tyler, that has come with photo booth props, which makes it so much fun.
We're drinking ice cream.
No, we're
that's good for dental health.
No rules here. No rules.
Shuts out.
All right. Thank you. Hola, bienvenido al podcast A Tale of Two Hygienists. I don't know if that's the correct way to say that in Spanish. I just know that I've learned a lot of new words today, and I need to use them or I will forget them. I am doing this podcast from my room with my awesome roommate, Susanna Trammell, who is on this because I dragged her here yet again. She's a friend from Charleston. She's a paramedic, or flight paramedic, which is super badass and cool. She met me for coffee one time in her flight suit, and I felt really special being next to her. She's going to take me in the helicopter one day, too, which is awesome. So this is day 1 of clinic in Nicaragua for my mission trip, and it's a little different this time. We are a medical heavy group, meaning we have very few non-medical people. How many non-medical people do we actually have? 2?
Maybe 2.
2 non-medical people, and that is just not very common. And I think this is a great example when people say, I can't do a medical mission trip. I don't know anything about medicine, that we need people that don't know anything about medicine too. Just like a hospital runs with plenty of non-medical people, it's no different than what we're doing here. Because technically we are kind of like a little clinic out in the wilderness here in Nicaragua. So it's a little different, and it's also pretty girl heavy too. Not meaning girls are heavy, but meaning there's a lot of them. There is a lot of us. 3 boys? 3 boys out of the 20 of us. So 17 girls on this trip. Luckily, there's many male translators, so they even us out a little bit. But I think that just means we're going to be super efficient for this medical trip. So we went to a village that I was actually in this time last year. Los kilometers. Like is that how they say it? So yeah, just the kilometers. It's the village of kilometers. I don't know. So we, the first day in clinic is always just a little weird, especially for people that have not been on this particular trip. They're not really sure how the flow goes, how that works, what that looks like. So I think it went pretty well, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few kinks here or there, and we'll work those out. But for the most part, I think it went pretty well. We saw 150 patients total. Dental saw 25, mostly kids, which is, how much I love the children population. But these kids were pretty cool, and we did glass ionomer, we did silver diamine fluoride, we did cleanings. Unfortunately, our wonderful, amazing dentist that was with me last year had some health issues while we were flying here, and so when we landed in Houston, she actually went to the hospital and then flew back home. So we are 100% of the time thinking about her, wishing she were here, but glad that she's doing better. And so we're not doing extractions, and it seems to be okay though. People are coming, they're wanting to get cleanings, they're in desperate need of it, and the fact that we now have this restorative side of it is freaking fantastic. It is, for me, I think it's pretty much a game changer, because we were having to extract so many teeth because they were either not going to get care for the next year, so that means they were on their way to an abscess, especially some of the deciduous teeth, and especially seeing 6-year molars starting to get decay. That's kind of heart-wrenching, because it's only downhill from there. I mean, that's their first adult molar, and very needed. So we're happy that we're able to do that. So just 2 hygienists on this trip. Today, nothing spectacular stood out. We forgot to bring the saliva injectors. So this time, the one thing that's different from this trip is that we have electricity. So we have a generator that we can work off. So I purchased a portable suction unit, and then we were lent a Action piezo scaler, and I was really excited to use those today, and then saw that we forgot saliva ejectors. So tomorrow we'll start that right back up, and we're also possibly having some issues with the piezo scaler because of electricity, maybe not getting enough voltage to it, but we'll again try that tomorrow. That's the joy of working in global health. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. But we're hand scaling with our awesome PDT instruments, and using my Gleason guide. We do not have, because we are so short for non-medical, our translator, we've taught him how to do all the sterilization and infection control. He's like running our instruments, and it's so helpful. He was assisting today with placement of glass ionomer, holding cheeks back, and we are so happy to have the translators that we have, because they are just a dynamic part of this team. Without them, we would truly be lost, and we're tired today. It was a long day, but it was a really great, fun day and good patient flow. Trammell, did you see anything good today? Anything from... Nothing stood out?
Yeah.
A lot of kids today.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of kids.
So many kids.
Probably more than adults. I feel like every adult that came by had a kid or 5.
1 to 5 kids per adult.
Pretty much.
That's crazy. So she was doing triage. I'm really impressed. There was only 2 or 3 people in triage to see 150 people, because that means they literally saw all 150 people, which is impressive. So we're exhausted. We did our dinner. We did our devotionals. We were late coming back. We didn't get back until 7. We left at 7 this morning. We did have a kick-ass workout this morning. So no excuses, folks. If we can manage to work out in Nicaragua at 5 a.m., get up and work 12 hours in the wilderness on our feet with holes in the grounds for toilets and very little healthy food, carb-heavy kind of diet, anyone can get up and work out. So just go do it every day. So we're going to bed because we're going to get up again and have a workout. I'm actually really impressed, because this is the only group I've been with where there was, how many this morning? 7 this morning that worked out. That's impressive. Normally, last year I was the only person that got up and worked out. So I'm excited to have friends doing this with me. So good night, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bienvenido, Clínica Día 2. So, day 2 of the clinic. It's been an interesting one. We are exhausted. We got started at normal, 5:15, got up for a workout, had our breakfast, and we were off about 45-minute drive away from our hotel. And we got there was nobody in line, and apparently the village was a little concerned that we weren't going to show up, kind of broken promises maybe from past missionaries. But when we got there, it was kind of crazy, because the pastor had a PA system of some sort, and you could hear him on the mic, and it was loud, and no one really understood why. And then in hindsight, we see that he was calling the people to say that we had come. So that was really interesting. And dental today was outside of the clinic, like it usually is, and we were inside a hut, like almost like a little tiki hut underneath. It didn't have any walls. It was kind of where they stored all their junk, and there was this little area that we kind of set up our clinic. And so we were working with those zero gravity, like lawn chairs. So they're actually significantly better than what we've used in the past, which is just the plastic chairs where the patients have to like scoot down to the very end and then put their head back on the backrest, which is incredibly uncomfortable for them. And that means we're standing the entire 10-hour day, and it's exhausting. So the fact that we have these little chairs, they're great. They're not perfect, but they're way better. And so we have these chairs. We set up everything, but the problem is that we don't have walls. So crowd control started to become an issue, because apparently dentistry is really cool and entertaining. So we had people, it was almost like we were shooing people away because, kids and teenagers and even some adults would just come and all of a sudden I'd feel somebody behind me and there'd be 5 people peering into this mouth, and none of these people have had cleanings in their life, so they're all inflamed and infected and tons of calculus, so they're bleeding like crazy. They're spitting because we don't have suction in a cup. It's just it was interesting. So it was almost like our interpreter became our bouncer and was trying to keep us from people just closing in on us, trying to watch what was happening. We did not see as many kids today, but yesterday was kind of a big kid day for some reason. A lot of adults, which means that we work slower and both of our hands are killing us. Sadly, I could not get the piezo scaler that I was borrowing to work here. Maybe the hand piece has gone bad or something. I'm not really sure, but so we're back to hand scaling the old school way and keeping in mind that these are, your Central American people that have this tenacious calculus that you probably have seen in school or in your in your office clinics, whatever. It is just very tenacious. So it's been interesting. It's really been interesting. I saw a 22-year-old today who had a 6-year-old son, and her mouth, there was definitely something systemic going on, and she was borderline going on nug, and had 4 or 5 abscesses. So that was really sad. Her kid had 2 abscesses, and so we were really trying to focus on education. Every single person gets a toothbrush in their mouth. We're showing them how to brush. We're speaking to them so they understand cleaning between your teeth, toothbrushing, the connection between sugar. We're trying to really incorporate that educational side to it because, as we all know, that's incredibly important. We were really busy because once somebody heard that we were doing this, it just spread like wildfire. And at one time we had 17 patients waiting, and it was just myself and Angel. So 2 hygienists trying to get all this done. We're trying to do glass ionomer. We're trying to do silver diamine fluoride. We're trying to do scaling of these very intense adult patients. And so about 6 of them got upset that we were taking so long and left. So we're kind of similar to the U.S. They're like, when have you had a cleaning? Never. You're, 43 years old, so now I have to get 40 years of calculus off of your teeth in 5 minutes. So very similar expectations and frustrations, and it's hot, and so I get it, and the language barrier, there's a lot of things happening, but we saw 25 patients today, same as yesterday, which was, I feel, pretty successful. It's definitely a decrease than what we were doing in Uganda, but I really don't know a reason behind that. I'm going to ponder that a little bit more. So tomorrow we are planning on going into a sugar cane field where they have a lot of sugar cane workers and their families. If you listened to my podcast for my trip to Nicaragua this time last year, then you probably will remember that we went into a community very similar to that, where we were extracting all the anterior teeth on 2-year-olds because they were completely abscessed and rotten to, the gingival margin. They were just gone, completely bombed out. And that was a pretty consistent thing that we saw throughout the day, and a lot of scared, crying children, and a lot of juice, a lot of sugar. So very similar problems that we see in the U.S. They don't understand that sugar is so terrible for us. So tomorrow should be interesting. We are all planning on waking up, doing our workout 5:15, and I am leading that tomorrow. So I'm going to get some rest now. My back is absolutely killing me because I pulled it getting supplies out. So it has been really fun this week. We are all looking forward to our free day. Tomorrow's hump day. So we all tend to be a little tired on Wednesday, and then we just kind of get our that rejuvenation and kind of get it going and get revved up again with Thursday, Friday. So I expect for a lot of the team members and myself to be pretty exhausted. But thanks, guys, for listening, and hasta mañana. Day 3 in clinic. It was an adventure. Wednesdays never seem to disappoint for whatever reason. We started out our morning so we ride in a caravan. We have our bus that is filled with all the volunteers. We have a second bus that is filled with all of our supplies, and then our translators. And then they have a third mobile unit here in Nicaragua. It was an RV that was actually donated to One World Health, and they use it as a mobile clinic, and it comes with us. We don't use it all that often, maybe for a private area for like pelvic exams and things like that, but it's more kind of like a marketing thing just to show the presence and who we are that's at these clinics and these communities. And so we ride as a caravan for the most part to all these clinics, and a moped pulled actually not out in front of our PMI bus, but into it. So hit the side of it, and she fell over. So we got word that somebody was hurt, and so we turned these giant school buses around, which is just not easy. It's just amazing, these drivers here. And luckily, a part of our team is my best buddy, Susanna, who's a flight paramedic. We had an ER doctor and another family doctor. So we called them our trauma team. And so they hopped off the bus and like ran to make sure everybody was okay. And so it was just quite the adventure to start off our morning. It definitely delayed us getting to the clinic. It was about a 45-minute drive or so. We were all kind of updated at the beginning of the morning because there was an outbreak, or an alert, not an outbreak, just an alert of dengue fever. So making sure that we all wore our bug spray and really be on the lookout for anyone with fevers or signs of that. The thing is, though, all of these awful, like chicken dengue, chicken something, whatever this crazy thing is, Zika, dengue fever, all of these things have very similar symptoms. Chikungunya, that's it, chikungunya. All of them have very similar symptoms, so I'm amazed at what these doctors can do to differentiate what is what with these illnesses. But for dental, it was a really fun day. We were in a sugarcane village, so my fear going into it was that we would see a lot of children with decay that needed extractions, and because we are now short our dentist and it's just 2 hygienists, we weren't going to be able to do everything that we needed to do for these children. And we got this really cool hut. We were out under the trees. It was a nice little breeze. It was a little buggy, but just a really cool community to be a part of and working in. And we sit down with our first patient. So what we did this time is we would kind of go to the registration area where everybody was getting their wristbands and their papers. And we pulled out all the children, all the niños, and we would take them first and see them and do their cleanings because they're usually quick and easy. Do glass ionomer, do silver diamine fluoride, whatever we needed to do. And then by the time they would kind of go back to be with their parents in the line to see the doctors. And so by the time the parents came through, we would see them in the afternoon. And so we would actually see less adults and more children that way. Kind of good, kind of bad. I mean, it just allows us to treat children, really start them young and really kind of save some of their adult teeth because, I mean, they're getting their 6-year molars with decay already. So just giving them a fighting chance to keep their teeth and teaching them, how to brush and how to care for it. how to care for their teeth for a lifetime, hopefully. So we saw 35 patients, mainly because we were seeing a lot of children. It was really nice because there were a lot of clean mouths, honestly. Decay, yes, but they were easy to take care of. The first patient that did sit down was a little boy who had 2 or 3 abscesses, and he was 4 or 5 years old. So my heart kind of sank a little bit after that first patient, because I was like, God, I hope that this is not my fear. My fears come true. We're not going to be able to do a lot for this community. But it turned out I maybe only saw 2 or 3 abscesses after that for the rest of the day. So I felt good. And we did see a special needs child. We have a OT, an occupational therapist on our trip who specializes in children and special needs children. So she came over because at first, just helping the aunt who actually brought the child to show her how to brush and things, he was really tensing up at the toothbrush in his mouth, and I was kind of nervous. We all know that children they're not in my wheelhouse, especially on the special needs side of it. So she came over and kind of really helped to reassure me that I wasn't causing him any pain. And she helped me open his mouth. He had one very isolated spot of an early caries. And so we just, tapped it with some silver diamine fluoride, and she took him to occupational therapy, and we really got a chance to work with him. And so that was a wonderful experience too. It was just a really fun, awesome day. Wednesdays usually are draining. You're hot, you're tired, you're 3 days into it. You can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then Thursday and Friday usually gets a little bit better. So this was great. That Wednesday was just such a positive, wonderful day. There was an ice cream man there. I think anytime that they see a bunch of gringos out hanging out there, they kind of post up shop for the rest of the day. So we got some ice cream, which is fantastic. Little popsicles, I should say. I'm trying to think what other great things happened. Oh, we had a photo booth. I love coming with this because they really do make it fun. In dental, we're playing music, we're laughing, we're joking. Angel and I, Angel's the other hygienist, she and I are trying very, very, very hard to learn Spanish and really kind of connect with the person in the chair by speaking their language. I think that really it makes a difference. And I mean, it's actually very comical because we're so bad at it at first, these new words that we're learning. And so it's kind of comical for them to listen to us try, but they appreciate it. And that's really great. And the last patient of the day, I was an adult, and she was only there for dental because she had pain, and she had a lot of extractions. Obviously, in the past, she was missing a lot of teeth, and she had one area of decay, and it was literally the most perfect spot for a glass ionomer. And we filled it and cleaned her up, and she said a little prayer for us and for our safe travels back home. So it was, it's really so special to be with these people in their community, because I mean, they again are just instilling so much trust in you and your skills, and they leave praying for you. I mean, they just trusted you so much, and then they still want to give back some more. So it's really fantastic. Can't say enough about going with this group. This has probably so far been my absolute favorite trip, and I'm having a great time. So tomorrow, we're a little bit farther out. So we're getting up again for our 5:15 workout and getting on the road. So good night, everyone. Or this morning, of course, was full of adventure, a sad adventure, actually. We were delayed getting on the road this morning because our translators were stuck behind a really terrible accident, and it was an 18-wheeler and a bus that collided at very high speeds. I'm pretty sure that many did not survive that accident. It goes to show that here the U.S. I mean, the fact that we have an ambulance that, I mean, it might seem like 10 or 15 minutes before EMS gets there. I mean, they don't have any of that. My roommate has joined me for this podcast, who is a paramedic, not an EMT, paramedic. I was talking about your badass skills yesterday, being our trauma team. Yeah, that's my roommate. So I was talking about the 18-wheeler and school bus this morning that wrecked, and that's why the translators were late. But these people probably did not have, like, even if somebody survived or needed serious support, it would have been quite a long time for them to get an emergency trauma team or something like that to them. So that was kind of a sullen, sad start once I found that out. But we went into this community today. It was an interesting drive there. It was a little longer, beautiful views of the volcano, and just beautiful fields along the way. And then we get into this community, which is it's probably the poorest community we've been in so far. And they're like single dirt roads. So think of like a windy dirt road, and that's what we were driving, and trying to take school buses in, like, to make right turns. Like it was fascinating. The drivers here are badass and awesome. Julio and Java, they are fantastic. I mean, I can't even understand. Like, they need to go teach driving school in the U.S. because we all have a little something to learn how to drive, like, defensively and maneuver vehicles in such tight areas. It was so impressive. I have a video. I'll have to post it. So we get to this community. We're in another church. Dental was in the pastor's home today, which was great, but it had windows all around, and there was a lot of children in this community, like a lot, right, Susanna? Did you see it? Like, I mean, everywhere you were, there was like 5 or 6 children. And so they'd see your name tags, and through the windows, they would just call your name and stuff. And it was funny because they were talking about us. Like, you could hear, I have no idea what they're saying because I don't actually understand Spanish all that well. But you could tell they were, and the translators would say things like, they were asking if we're going to get a toothbrush, and they heard you speak something in English. So they were like, oh, yeah, she said we were. And I was like, what? So it was just really cute. We did not see nearly as many people in dental today because everyone was a little more involved. All of the people that I saw specifically were mostly women, and they bled like stuck pigs, not even like touching their mouths with a scaler, just brushing, because that's how I always start. I actually brush their teeth and show them and then I use peroxide or chlorhexidine, usually because there's just a ton of plaque. So it's my way of like polishing before I scale. And their gums are just, they were bleeding like stuck pigs. It was just very interesting, and they didn't have any more plaque than any other like community that we've seen this week. So I'm not sure if it was just their host response to this or hormones. Maybe they were all on the same cycle. I don't know, but it was pretty across the board today of females with pretty decent subgingival calculus, but not like nothing more than a 4mm pocket, maybe 5s here or there, but it was strange, very tenacious too in some areas. I did have to have a sex talk today. That was fun. So I saw this woman, and she had all of her prescriptions already, so she'd already seen the doctor and gone through pharmacy, and we were kind of the last stop. And I look in her mouth, and I see just a ton of herpetic lesions on her palate, and then other areas. And so I looked at all of her prescriptions to see if maybe acyclovir was one of them, and I noticed like there's quite a lot for vaginal issues, fluconazole and an antibiotic, and I asked, just kind of chat with her a little bit. And so I decided to go speak with the doctor. This is the best thing about being a part of an entire medical team. I got up and went and spoke to the doctor about it. Like, we could collaborate, because I was like, maybe she needs to be on some acyclovir. What do you think about this? And I mean, Alex, love her to death. She's one of the ER docs here. She's like, what we need to do is have a safe sex talk with her. Like, look at all the things. Like, she's definitely suffering from some symptoms from STDs. So I was like, okay, so that's something I need to do now. It's a first for me. So I went and I actually switched out our awesome translator, Alvaro, for Jasmina, who is also a fantastic translator. We love her. And we had kind of a safe sex talk and just how STDs spread, and making sure that, especially with the herpetic lesions, she has a little baby, so to make sure that she, is not kissing on the baby and spreading it that way, and then what's happening in the mouth can go to the genitalia. It was just quite a new conversation for me for dental. So that was an experience. But just a lot of that today, a lot of in-depth things, a lot of conversations, taking really a lot of time for patient education. So we only saw about 20 people today, but we ended our clinic with playing kind of like a Simon Says game with all of the kids. So we showed them how to brush, and then we would give them a brush, and they would show us how to brush that part of their tooth or area of their mouth. And so it was really fun. And some of them were shy. Some of them got their toothbrushes and ran off. And then some of them were trying to brush their teeth with the plastic wrapper still on it. We had some little niños that were so cute and just never stopped brushing their teeth. It was a fun way to end the clinic. So, and then we got back in our bus. We loaded up everything and got on the road. And then we all of a sudden we're going through downtown Shenandoah, which is a route that we have been going through, and all of a sudden Julio parks a bus, and they're like, surprise, we're going to get ice cream. You've worked so hard all week. So it was a really hot day today, and so they got us all ice cream, which was really awesome. I mean, this is another reason I love going with them, because they take care of us, and they really appreciate how hard we work. Trammell, you got anything fun that you saw today? Trammell was working in pharmacy. So were you dispensing or just filling?
Well, what we did is we decided it'd be easier to dispense and then fill and dispense ourselves, so it's kind of a confusion.
Oh.
We didn't have to read somebody else's. We knew.
Right.
So that's how we've been doing it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So a little bit of everything, which is a lot. You're running around. It was hot there today.
Yeah, it was hot out there.
Did you see a trend in any medications?
I was so just trying to catch up with them.
Speak louder.
There was definitely, there's always a lot of ibuprofen for pain, and like you said, there's a lot of kids. Yeah. So I feel like multivitamins. We always give a lot of multivitamins. There were a couple. We have little hydration packets. So if they're dehydrated or stuff, it has the different vitamins and electrolytes in it. They can mix with water. A lot of creams, for antifungal or different, just skin rashes, and steroid creams, steroids, hypertension medication.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
They're all hypertensive and diabetics.
And very hypertensive.
So kind of the norm, right?
Yeah.
So now we need to pack our bags, because we have to have everything ready in the morning so that we can go work half a day in clinic and then load up and head to our free day. So we're doing it a little different this time. Last time we work a whole day. We wake up early Saturday morning. We drive to the free day.
I would like to say the maid laid this up here.
She has my gum chucks attachment.
You might want to keep those.
That's the best. The maid put my gum chucks attachment on Susanna's clothes. I think it's clean. I throw mine in the trash normally.
Yeah, but she probably picked it up off the floor.
Oh, there was. My bad, yo. Oh my gosh. So, okay. So in the morning, we're going to go to the clinic. We're going to pack up. We're going to do inventory. We're going to get on the road. So we kind of have to be ready to go for a lot of things. So good night, everyone. OMG, day 5. I thought this would be an easier day because we were working a half a day, being done at noonish, and it just, I don't know. I mean, this is probably the same in all of our offices where we are trying to squeeze a lot into half a day. And sometimes those half days are a little bit more stressful than the full days. So we went into the clinic today, the clinic that is in El Viejo, which is where kind of like the spokes on a wheel where we branch out from this central location to the villages that we go to every day. But this is the hub. This is where we refer patients back when we leave and give them medication. They come back here for to continue getting quality care and their medications. So it's a short trip today. We were already packed up. We had 5:15 yoga session, which was really great. And you always have that last little moment in yoga to really kind of reflect, and it was a great way to kind of wrap up the week, just reflect on what we've been doing. And then we got on the road and we got there, but I personally haven't done this before, and the reason they were kind of doing this in the clinic is more of like a marketing strategy, so that people in that area and in the surrounding areas were going to get free medical care in this half day. Just kind of like come check out the clinic, see the quality care that you're getting, no charge today. Just come all. So because we hadn't done this before, I really didn't know what that looked like. And now that I do, I would have to organize it a little bit better for dentistry. So there is a dentist contracted out of this clinic. So it's discounted compared to other dental offices, but it's not an actual One World Health. I think that's correct. It's a contract that works with them. So we worked in her clinic, and she was there. She was super helpful. She doesn't speak any English, so there's a translator, of course, as usual, there to help us. But what was really fun is that she knew what needed to be said, especially during brushing instructions. So she just kind of gave them. Like, she's looking and seeing all the plaque and calculus and inflammation, and so she's just like telling them about plaque and how it turns into calculus and how it creates bleeding. And I was like, wow, this is fantastic. It did start a little rocky because our translator Alvaro, who has been with us all week, was delayed getting to the clinic. So we were kind of like Mod Podging together a bunch of translators to help us. And, Alvaro has been just incredibly helpful and such an important aspect of our dental team because he is helping us with the sterilization side of it. So to not have him there, it really kind of threw off things a little bit. Plus, we were getting used to working in, her dental clinic and making sure our supplies to stay separate from her supplies. But what's so cool is that she had a piezo unit in a section. And so we got to use that. At least I did. So I took as many of the hard cases as I could, and Angel took the less. We tried to give her more kids and things so that she could just hand scale, and I took more of the adults. It was very needed. That thing was, it sped me up so much faster. So we were seeing a lot of patients in a small amount of time, which is so great. A lot of interesting things that we saw today. Because we were in the city, in a more urban area, there are dentists in Nicaragua. There's even orthodontists in Nicaragua. But the care is just, it's very sporadic. But we did have an actual employee of One World Health that came back wanting to see the dentist, and she had ortho on, and she was worried because she couldn't keep the plaque off of her teeth, which is what all ortho patients struggle with. But she was just very aware of it. And so she did have some calculus, and I showed her how to brush above and under and around and floss and all that kind of stuff to manage her ortho, and especially her oral hygiene while she had ortho. But when I'm looking in her mouth, she's got bands on all of her molars, and the upper molars have bands that have the headgear attachment. So if you've ever noticed a bracket for a molar, there's going to be like a tube, almost like an opening, so that the portion of the headgear can go into that, so they can push back those molars. So she had those there, and then I look on her lower arch, right side is fine, left side is really super inflamed, and the wire's been pulled out. So I'm asking her, does this hurt? And she's like, yeah, it hurts. It's been like that for a few weeks now. And I was like, God. So, I started my career in ortho. That's what I did as an assistant at 18, 19, 20. So I still feel comfortable working with ortho. So I had a rongeur, and the wire wasn't cinched, meaning it wasn't pulled under so that it couldn't be pulled out of that last bracket. So I was able to bend it because it was still a very thin wire, and kind of put it back in that hole. But there was quite a decent gap because her premolar was rotated mesally. So the gap between that bracket on number 20 and number 19 was pretty big. So that wire should have been cinched down so that wire couldn't pull out, because the moment she chews down on it, it's going to pull right back out. So I'm looking at that bracket on number 19, and her tissue is just super inflamed. And I'm assuming it's because, at first glance, that wire's out, it's poking into her gums. And I was like, oh gosh, that's been really tearing you up. But the more I look at it and more I kind of get the plaque out of the way, I noticed that it is a maxillary headgear bracket that's been placed on the mandibular tooth. So that tube that's supposed to be more, it's like when it's placed onto the tooth, if I can describe this properly, the headgear would sit more apically, so more at the gingival margin for the maxillary arch. This is not a lower mandibular bracket, because you wouldn't put headgear on the lower. So she has now this headgear tube, which is pretty thick. It's a bulky bracket, and it is down into her gums. So her tissue, she's going to have bone loss for sure. That tissue, she can't manage it. She can't clean it. It is so inflamed. It's so red. She's got so much granulation tissue. So I did the best that I could do as far as cleaning it up and showing her how to maintain it. And then I had the dentist help me write a letter to her orthodontist asking if they could change that out for a mandibular bracket. And they made sure that it was not coming from the dentist herself, because very similar in America, they get their feelings hurt, or they get a little proud and honorary when you tell them something about their work. So she wanted to make sure that it was not coming from her. And I was like, I would be happy to sign my name to this and give them my phone number, email, whatever they want, because I would defend the fact that this bracket needs to be changed in order for her to keep it clean and not have periodontal disease around that tooth when it comes off. So that was crazy, and it just really kind of ate up a lot of time, and so it was just a lot of things like that. And then I didn't know that outside in the waiting area, there were just people not coming up and writing their numbers down. That all of a sudden we had 3 waiting, and then we had 10 and 12 waiting with only an hour left of the time in the morning. So it was just a crazy busy morning, but we got through it. We ended at noon-ish. We got to eat some lunch, and then we did our inventory. Kind of separated what needed to come back with me and what was going to stay there in Nicaragua, and then took count of everything. So counting all the cups, all the gauze, all the tongue depressors, everything, just so that the next team that comes knows what is there and they can order accordingly. Not my favorite part of it by any means, but definitely a needed aspect of that of our trip. We have to end it each time with the clinic with inventory. So great busy day. Then we loaded up in the bus and we went to Lyon. No, actually, we went to the hotel, got our stuff, and went to Lyon, which is a city that has a really pretty square, like a market area with a big, beautiful church, and it has a coffee shop and a juice bar. So it's actually something I enjoy going to because I'm pretty much vegetarian, pescatarian. I don't eat a lot of meat ever, but or carbs for that matter. This has been a very carb heavy week with not many vegetables. So I am craving some veggies and greens at this point, not from a can, but fresh, crunchy vegetables. I can't wait to get back to America and have that. So I love the juice. Then we get on the road. It's about a 2-hour drive from Lyon to the beach where we have our free day. So we're going to get there tonight and have dinner so that when we wake up in the morning, we can see the sunrise on the beach, have pretty much 3/4 of a day, and then head back to Managua before we fly out on Sunday morning. So busy day, and I'm excited to get some rest. Thanks for listening, everyone. I hope, again, this inspired you to go out and volunteer. If it's not globally, just within your community, it can be very simple. If you want to listen back to a great episode with Katie Melko, I'm not really sure what episode that was, but we talk about community outreaches. And, there's some people out there that are working really hard on a daily basis for public health, and all they need is our support. And if we volunteer honestly, once a quarter, if every hygienist did that, we wouldn't really need to volunteer very often. So go out, find something, or start something. And if, you want to do community outreach, but you also are interested in global outreach, then, ask myself, ask Andrew, we have quite a few, Katie, we have quite a few people on this podcast that have gone out and have their very near and dear to their heart organizations. So ask us or send us an email, because we definitely can find you the one that fits your priorities and your needs. Mine being very sustainable healthcare and a collaborative approach where we're seeing the patient and the medical and the dental side of it. That really just touches me, and I really enjoy going with this group every time. So I hope you enjoyed it. I love being able to have this audio journal for each day. So thanks for listening, everyone.
Listeners, I want to tell you a story I found on the web, which makes this Scaling the Web with Andrew. Okay, so this week in Scaling the Web with Andrew, I decided I was going to troll some of the Yahoo Answers pages.
Trolling sounds so creepy and awful.
I know. But so I just put in dentist, and there's a bunch of like questions that were already pre-made, so I selected a few of them, and some were stupid. But like one of the questions was like, "Can I eat after the dentist numb my mouth? Quick, please." Okay. So the one I chose, and I'm going to read all of the answers because they're all stupid. I mean, not all stupid,
love it.
But all whatever. Okay, this is the question: mouth got numb from the dentist. Quick. I'm sorry. Let me redo this. Mouth got numb from the dentist. Quick ways to make it unnumb. She says, I just got a cavity filled and I didn't eat anything all day. I'm so hungry, but I don't want to eat while my mouth is numb. I got it done about an hour ago. How long do you think it will take to unnumb? Any way to make it go by faster. So here's the thing. When I first read it, I thought she was saying like, I didn't eat all day because I was numb. But no, she didn't eat all day before the dentist.
Yeah.
And now
right.
she's so hungry, and now she can't eat because she's numb, which I think is
She's
stupid.
numb.
You need to eat before you get anesthetics. That's stupid.
Please.
Anyways.
Yeah.
And then this person says, you should wait until the numbing wears off. You don't want to bite your cheek or tongue and not realize it. That is why the doctor tells people not to eat until it wears off. You can have soup or tea or Jell-O, anything that just kind of slides down without chewing. Also make sure it's not too hot. Numbness should wear off in a couple hours. Sometimes it depends on if you did a block or not. The numbness lasts longer with a block. Source, hubby is a DDS. Okay, that's first of all not quite true. It doesn't necessarily last longer with a block or not. That's dumb. But also, I liked when she's like, just eat anything that kind of slides down without chewing. Okay, next one. Yes, always after I get a filling, my mom takes me to get a milkshake that's only 10 minutes away from the dentist's office. And it's so fun because if only the one side is numb, then when you drink it, only the not numb side is cold and the other side is just like nothing. Just don't eat anything too sticky or hard for a couple of hours. Whatever.
Those are fun answers.
Little late on the answer here, but if you move your cheek around or wherever you are numb softly, but a lot, and get the blood moving, it will speed up the unnumbing by a bit. How do you feel about that? Because I feel like that's not true.
It's all about how you metabolize the anesthesia, right?
Well, yeah,
How
but I mean,
quickly?
it talks about blood flow. So if you have a lot of blood flow to the area, then it takes the anesthetic away from that area a little bit quicker. Is what I think what they're trying to say. But whatever. Here's another one that's kind of along the same lines.
Epi, right?
Well, right. That's the thing. Is that you can't make the epi go away.
Yeah, go away.
Something warm like a coffee, not too hot, because the heat will speed the blood flow up. Sitting underneath the sun on a hot day, or, and this is a good one, rub your lip to get the blood flowing. And I didn't add the this is a good one part. They said that. And this is a good one, rub your lip to get the blood flowing.
Sit in the sun.
Sit in the sun because it's hot, and that's going to warm you up. Okay, you ready for this one? When our patients leave our office with the mouth numb, we give our patients a vitamin C chewable. Since the mouth is numb, we have them suck on it versus chew it, possibly bite, tongue, or cheek, whatever. As long as you just had a filling, then you're okay. But if you had a root canal pulpotomy, the acids in the vitamin C should affect the process just done.
What?
And this is from a pediatric dental assistant. I don't even understand all the words that they were saying, but it sounds like the gist was, we give them vitamin C chewables, and if it's just a filling, it's okay to have that.
But not if it's a root canal.
But not if it's a root canal, because
the acid will affect that.
But it should be sealed, so I don't understand how the acid should. And how's the vitamin C going to help? How's that vitamin C going to help get the anesthetic to metabolize faster? I mean, it could be something I've just never heard of it.
If listeners, please break that down for us if we don't know something that you do.
Yes, please. Thank you. And this was 9 years ago, by the way, is when that was answered. Okay.
Oh.
Another person says you can't do anything. And then a year ago, a couple more answers came in. They said, wait, enjoy your excuse to get a shake or a smoothie. Go to Starbucks. And the next one says, you drink Starbucks. And then the last one says, this is the best time to treat yourself to a chocolate shake.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the answers.
They're not dumb.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good job. Good job, people in the world.
This is why you don't trust the internet on anything.
Good Lord.
I like the Yahoo answers. I think that might come back again in a few weeks if I remember to do it that way. Because that's awesome.
Yeah. No, I do like Yahoo answers. So is that the end of your Scaling the Web?
The end of Scaling the Web.
It's about that time. Grab your blanket and a glass of wine. It's story time with Michelle.
Storytime with Michelle is brought to you by Wine Awesomeness. Wine Awesomeness provides a unique way to explore and enjoy wine through customizable subscription options with an emphasis on wine discovery. Each delicious monthly shipment is an editorialized adventure through a theme, trend, educational concept, or a part of the wine world. Whether it's a deep dive into overlooked Eastern European wines, a selection of bottles perfect for your backyard barbecues, or a month devoted to showcasing the work of women winemakers, they've got you. Don't forget to use the coupon code TALE, that's TALE, to receive 10% off your order, or just go to our Facebook page and click the sign up button. Okay, so for story time with Michelle, I do not have my glass of wine with me currently because I was drinking a ton of beer watching football. So the next story time with Michelle that is sponsored by Wine Awesomeness will have a glass of wine associated with it. But still go use your code. So this week we are going to talk about, so do you know that the American College of Prosthodontics came out with with new guidelines for 2016-2017, and they are clinical practice guidelines for recall and maintenance of patients with tooth-borne and implant-borne dental restorations. Are you familiar with this?
I don't know the words that you're saying, but they're doing what? They're making recommendations for
tooth-borne, so crowns, and implant-borne restoration. So crowns on natural teeth, crowns on implants. But they're calling them now
fillings.
tooth-borne, not fillings. Tooth-borne,
just...
well, I guess maybe tooth-borne restorations, but they're mainly talking about crowns. So this is Prosthodontist Academy, or American College of Pros. Our past guest, Miss Susan Wingrove, was a author on this. So,
oh, yay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Susan.
All right. So, clinical practice guidelines are intended to provide clinicians with guidance in diagnosis, treatment planning, and clinical decision making. CBGs, also are the clinical practice guidelines, have been shown to improve patient care processes and clinical outcomes, and to better identify and limit treatment risk. Although empirically developed CPGs have been used in medicine for hundreds of years, in the 90s, systematic approaches were advanced and advocated for CPGs. In an extensive systematic review of 59 published CPGs in medicine, Grimshaw and Russell showed that explicit CPGs improved clinical practice when introduced in the context of rigorous evaluations. In dentistry, my computer just did something weird. In dentistry, a few officiated CPGs included the use of antibiotic prophylaxis before dental procedures to prevent endocarditis in certain cardiac patients, the use of prophylactic antibiotics prior to dental procedures in patients with prosthetic joints, antibiotic prophylaxis for dental patients at risk for infection, oral health care for pregnant adolescents, guidelines for the care of maintenance of complete dentures, management of patients with medication-related osteonecrosis of the jaws, and many others. The United States maintains a national registry in the National Guideline Clearinghouse for evidence-based clinical practice guidelines, which are submitted and endorsed by various medical and professional organizations. It is important to note that unlike traditional CPGs based on empiricalisms or medical authority, modern CPGs involve a systematic and transparent process of scrutiny of scientific evidence, and recommendations are made with the intent that they will be updated and modified as scientific evidence becomes available. Despite this, recommendations made in CPGs are not always supported by scientific evidence, which is interesting. This is because many empirical procedures and treatments that yield favorable outcomes do not necessarily have scientific evidence at the present time. You and I talk about this a lot.
Right.
Patients seeking prosthodontic care often present with significant previous dental treatment, a complex etiology of factors contributing to the loss of teeth, loss of tooth structure, and equally complex treatment needs to restore function and aesthetics. Treatment plans to address patient needs using tooth or implant-borne restorations require careful diagnosis, risk assessment, treatment planning, meticulous execution of care, and a long-term partnership with the patient and treatment plan or treatment team to maintain an enduring result. Given the resources required to treat patients with complex dental needs, an appropriate patient recall regimen, professional maintenance regimen, and at-home maintenance regimen are paramount for long-term success. Furthermore, it is likely that the professional and at-home maintenance protocols in healthy adult patients with tooth and implant-borne restorations may significantly different between. Wait, sorry, can't read properly.
And still no wine, ladies and gentlemen. Amazing.
I have a lot of beer. All right, I drink a lot of beer. PBRs, football, it's great. Guidelines on the options of relative merits of professional and at-home maintenance protocols to predictably achieve stable results are lacking. Current guidelines for the maintenance of implant restorations are poorly defined and often based on empirical isms or traditional protocols for patients with natural dentition rather than what is most suitable for maintenance of implant restorations and supporting tissues. Therefore, professional and at-home maintenance guidelines are necessary for patients with tooth and implant-borne removable and fixed restorations to improve the health of supporting tissues, limit disease processes such as caries, periodontitis, or peri-implant disease, and improve the expected longevity of restorations, as well as the supporting teeth and implants themselves. Guidelines are needed to provide direction for the dental health care provider with the long-term goal of improved clinical outcomes for the patient. So that all makes sense to me. So let me go. They have a lot of charts. And just so you know, this was, if you probably Googled American College of Prosthodontics clinical practice guidelines, this is going to come up. It's free. You can download it. It was with the Journal of Prosthodontist, 2016. Volume 25. So if you want to look that up, but you can print this and put this in your office and they have quite a few charts so that you can kind of look if this interests you at all. But let me get to the meat and potatoes of it all. Because I know you all enjoy story time so much. You want to just hear me read and slur my words.
That felt like meat and potatoes so far.
Okay, here's the discussion. The scientific panel considered the potential benefits, harms, contraindications, and scope of these guidelines. The potential benefits for these guidelines include improved oral health and longevity of natural teeth, tooth-borne and implant-borne restorations, and improved oral health-related quality of life. The potential harms considered were increased short-term costs to patients to adhere to recall regimens, professional maintenance regimens, and at-home maintenance regimens, and adverse effects related to any of the professionally used oral topical agents or at-home oral topical agents and oral hygiene aids. So what they are doing with these charts are kind of just taking apart tooth-borne restorations and putting into like at-home maintenance, professional maintenance, and then items that they could be using. And they do the same for implant-borne restorations. The contraindications to these guidelines, including allergies or adverse effects related to any of the professionally used oral topical agents or at-home topical agents. A potential source of bias that was considered during the development of these guidelines was the same group serving as authors of the systemic reviews, as well as panel members for the guidelines. To minimize the potential bias, efforts were made during the scientific panel meetings to debate and justify each guideline in an open and transparent format. Financial and organizational conflicts of interest were not identified, which I find a little silly because each one of these people, I guarantee, are sponsored in their own side gigs by somebody. So I think that always does push them, but whatevs. Thus, the effect of groupthink may not be a source of bias in the baseline guideline document. Conversely, having the same author group to draft the guidelines may be viewed as a strength of this document due to the profound insight obtained by the author group during the systemic review process. So, This document provides clinical guidelines, practice guidelines for patient recall regimen, professional maintenance regimen, and at-home maintenance for patients with tooth-borne and implant-borne. Guidelines made using expert opinion and consensus include the best possible analysis of best clinical practices, clinical feasibility, and risk-benefit ratio for patients. So really kind of just take a moment to read through these charts. I think they are pretty beneficial. For instance, if I showed you like Table 4, which is clinical practice guidelines for recall and maintenance of patients with implant-borne dental restorations. So for their number 1, patient recall, their guideline is patients with implant-borne restorations, fixed or removable, should be advised to obtain a dental professional examination visit at least every 6 months as a lifelong regimen. Patients categorized by the dentist as higher risk based on age, ability to perform oral self-care, biological or mechanical complications of remaining natural teeth, tooth-borne restorations, or implant-borne restorations should be advised to obtain a dental professional exam more often than every 6 months, depending on the clinical situation. So pretty much what they're saying is that if they're healthy, they're your top tier grade A patient every 6 months, no problem. You start throwing in the fact that maybe they're elderly, they don't have good dexterity, they have never been able to form proper self-care. Now they have biological, mechanical complications from maybe crappy restorations from prior, restorative work, or maybe it was fabricated without cleansability as an option. These people need to be seen more frequently. So it's just really hopefully helping people to understand, I guess, have a recipe and to kind of help with where to go when that patient is not your typical normal patient, which is, I think, more the average, is the atypical patient.
So if it was more than the average, then it wouldn't be atypical, it'd be typical.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But I feel like everybody calls
the normal unhealthy.
Yeah, but everybody says normal is healthy, or normal is a healthy patient, which is not really true because most of Americans are unhealthy in the oral health side of things. So just check this out. It's a really the tables are really nice, especially if you're a newbie hygienist and you're just kind of figuring it out and you don't know much about implants or crown maintenance. So in Table 3, patient recall for maintenance of tooth-borne dental restorations, it says patients with tooth-borne restorations, fixed or removable, should be advised to obtain examination every 6 months, except if they're higher risk, again, based on age and ability to care. So just helping you just to realize that you need to look at the patient as an individual, and not everyone's going to have the same regimen and same recall and same at-home maintenance schedule, and that we really need to tailor our care. It's really what it comes down to.
True.
So there's that. Go look it up. It is free. You can definitely get this on. And if you don't know about researching, don't just use regular old Google.com. You need to go to scholar.google.com. That's where you're going to get all of your peer-reviewed articles. That it is just scholarly articles. It's not WebMD. It's not your websites for dental ads. It is actual PDFs or at least abstracts of articles. And this is something that you can definitely find, and it is a downloadable PDF that you can get.
True.
Okay, you're so helpful tonight.
Well, I mean, I have nothing to add to all of that.
Okay.
Good work, Michelle.
Oh. All right. Next week, wine will be in hand. Don't worry, guys.
Yay. I'm excited for next week to start already.
All right. So, good week. Listen to Nicaragua.
Yep.
And I say at the end of my Nicaragua, I think on my last day, but if you have questions about mission work or charitable dentistry in any way, global or within the U.S., definitely contact us. Or, there's quite a few people that have been on our podcast that they have their own organizations that they go with. I mean, you and I go both with different ones. So contact us because we love to talk about it, but just do something. Get involved somewhere, shape or form. I think I mentioned Katie's interview where she was just like, she's busting her butt to set up these things and the people just don't show up. Like, don't be that person. Like, if you're going to commit your time, do it. Because there are people, because you're harming people. You're harming the people who are working so hard by saying, "Oh yeah, I'll be there," and then you're just like, "Oh no, other people will show up, and it won't be a big deal." Like that. That's probably the worst thing that you could do. I'd rather show up and be like, "Oh, you don't need me? All right, peace out."
And terrible segue. If you want to help and support us, go to the freaking iTunes and rate and review us. Because we're trying to do a thing, and don't let us down because we need those reviews. And also, Michelle has her sponsor that needs wine sold, and let's get that done too.
Yep, super excited about having a wine sponsor.
Don't let Michelle down.
You know what we didn't talk about that happened while I was in Nicaragua is that we won some kind of best podcast.
Oh yeah,
or something.
We did, and I think I actually might have mentioned it on one of the podcasts, but I don't think I said the results. So, so we won the best dental podcast in the world. We're number one.
I definitely contribute that to you people being badass with clicking on polls.
Our voting things. That's a direct reflection of our audience because we can only vote once each, and that's. And the funny thing was, we were dead last, and then I found out about it, and it was the 12th of December. So then we posted, I think we posted in 3 spots total, and then everyone started sharing, and everyone started clicking on here and telling their friends, tagging their friends and other posts. It was insane, and we went from very last to very first within a matter of not very long. So
we beat Dental Hacks, and they're one of the biggest podcasts out there.
They are, yeah. So we beat
thank
Dental
you
Hacks.
guys.
We beat
that was awesome.
Mark on his. We beat the Geniuses.
Yeah, that's
Implants
so cool.
and Worms. And
awesome.
Dental Town. So we beat all those guys. So it's thank you very much, listeners, for being awesome. But we need more. Yep. We need more from you.
We need iTunes.
I wish they could see my eyes when I did that. That was
you're
very
super
scary.
creepy. I'm glad they can't actually.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Okay. All right, listeners, have a great week. We love you.
Bye, y'all.